You're not woke, you're broke. I'm your host, certified financial therapist, JaeVic, guiding you towards becoming someone who finally trusts themselves with money. If you're ready to transform your financial identity through real money talk, money news, and money stories, turn up the volume and tune in. This is Finance, Fitness, and Finesse. Hey Finessers, welcome back to Finance, Fitness, and Finesse. I'm your host, certified financial therapist, JaeVic, also known as JaeVic, and I'm so happy to have you guys tuning into the show today. Also, happy summer. I am so happy that we are finally having some consistent warm weather here in the Midwest. We survived another Midwest spring, which being a Midwest native, honestly, I'm not ever surprised about. I've been hearing a lot from clients like, oh my gosh, I am feeling so much better. You know, there's sunshine. I'm able to do more, maybe a little more free time if you have some transitional things happening in your life, be it graduation, summer break, perhaps you have a vacation coming up, right? Summer is a time where we get to take back the asset of time by doing more things that we enjoy. So I challenge you to engage with whatever you have been wanting to engage with during the course of the year that you might have more bandwidth to do during the summertime. However, summer is the height of spending typically. We have Christmas time, right, the holidays, and then we also have summertime as the top two periods of the year where spending can certainly splurge, which, I mean, it's usually the time where we, again, have more capacity to be with our loved ones, be able to utilize that PTO or whatever time we have been trying to set aside for these things. However, a big part of this show is making sure that we are financially and emotionally informed so that you can truly enjoy yourself this summer, right? As a financial therapist and when I work with clients, I'm always sure to mention like, hey, I love that you're feeling good and that you're ready to go and have fun this summer. However, let's talk about something called your money scripts, right? Which is the money term of the day that I'll introduce shortly. Let's talk about your money scripts so that we can understand what is driving your spending behaviors during peak spending times of the year, such as summertime. So, finessers, today's money term of the day is money scripts. Money scripts are the unconscious beliefs about money that drive your financial behavior in adulthood. Typically, money scripts are developed early on in life, and they typically take root from what you experienced growing up, the things that you witnessed, be it your caregivers, your parents. It could even be the culture and the standards within your community. And it's so important to understand because our brains are habitual in nature. We are so brilliant. The human mind, the human brain is structured to be so brilliant, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily like to work that hard. So what it does is it utilizes habitual or habits and behaviors that are standardized so that our brain can work less hard when it comes to making decisions, right? Those money scripts, those narratives that, or the unconscious beliefs that you may not have necessarily chosen, but you may have inherited, those are the things that are driving our financial behaviors, our emotional well-being, and our relationships and identity, okay? You guys know on this show, whenever I have a guest, I always ask, what is a money memory where your financial identity changed? Throughout our lifetime, there are going to be different financial flashpoints, right? Certain parts of your money timeline that impact your money script, that unconscious belief that is driving your financial behavior, and it's going to affect your spending, saving, debt management, investing, along with how much you engage with risk versus reward. Are you avoidant with your money? In regards to our emotional well-being, right? That stress, guilt, shame, or anxiety that you have been feeling but have been having trouble pinpointing what the cause is, it probably has something to do with your money scripts. In this show today, we are going to go over some examples of money scripts, how to identify your money script, and also how to change it so that it's something that is more helpful rather than harmful to what you want in regards to your financial well-being and lifestyle. Over the weekend, at the time of recording this show, we're coming back from Memorial Day weekend, and I had such a great time just spending a lot of my time. Time is a word I'm saying quite a bit in this show, I'm realizing, which again, remember that time is your greatest asset, and I'm so happy that I invested it in family, even though I drove probably cumulatively over 6 hours, and I hate driving. However, driving is a great time for podcasts, so make sure that you download Finance, Fitness, and Finesse episodes so you can listen to it while you drive. Coming back to this family time that I spent over the weekend, it was really interesting to interact with a lot of different generations. Right now, my older sister just had the first grandbaby of my family, so we have a 1-month-old, and then my grandpa was also in town. So we got people in the house from 1 month all the way to 86 or 87, however old you are, Grandpa V. Which shout out to you. He's my number one fan. I love my grandpa, and he watches my shows all the time. And I got to spend time with all these different people in different generations. Obviously, the baby wasn't talking and doesn't know up from down right now, so he ain't got no money scripts. But I got to interact with my sisters we're all in our 20s. We're in relationships, in our first jobs. There's a huge transitional season for us. Interacting with my friends who are also in, the first couple years of their career, to my parents nearing retirement, to my grandfather who has been in retirement and is starting to think about what the next steps are for his will, his estate, right? The next stage of life, long-term care. All that being said, the money scripts, although we are a family unit, we've grown up together, each of our money scripts are very different. And that really speaks to the uniqueness of the individual. It doesn't matter necessarily what birth order you grew up in, or if you grew up in a family that spent a bunch of time together, or maybe a more distant family. Not everybody is going to have the same money scripts. However, there are a few that are pretty standard that a lot of us feel, which we will get to in our future segments here. When every time my grandfather's in town, I always love to, go out on a little date with him. We go and get lunch. We may get coffee or smoothies or something like that. We went and got smoothies, and we just went and sat down in a park. And I took the time to talk to him about what his money scripts were. Now, this is also my grandfather, let's see, he's not a boomer, but my great-grandfather, Red Vickery, he grew up during the Depression. And I asked my grandfather, I was like, how did witnessing what your dad had to do for money impact your money scripts today? And my grandfather got into a story about Red Vickery. His parents were immigrants. He grew up during the Great Depression. And, my grandfather was born in the 40s. So, again, and his dad was probably in his 20s, early 30s at this time. And the things that he had to do to earn money were bare-fisted boxing in the carnivals locally. Whenever they would have carnivals, he would go and fight their fighters for money, which was an inspiration as to why I ended up going and competing in boxing. And then he also was a bodyguard, and he worked on the railroad. This man is probably a reason why the Vickerys today are such hard workers, and we have so much endurance in regards to the way that we pursue not only our money, but also the things that we want to achieve, not only for ourselves, but for our loved ones in our community. That's a money script that has benefited us. However, after the commercial break, I'll tell you about a part of my great-grandfather's money script that may have been a little more harmful to the family legacy. Finessers, the only way to learn about money is to talk about money. Money feels out of control for the majority of people right now. But if you're here listening to the F3 show, You're not trying to be the majority. You're trying to do something different. Dimensional Wealth provides financial therapy and money coaching. Our services are designed to help you get your money organized by understanding the emotional and behavioral patterns affecting your bank account. Stop procrastinating when it comes to your money. Overcome impulsive spending, money anxiety, and heal from money trauma. Take the first step to take care of yourself. Visit JaeVic.com to book your consultation, and listeners get an exclusive discount on services using code DWF3. That's DWF3 at JaeVic.com. Let's build wealth with wellness. Now back to the show. Hey Finessers, welcome back to the show. Before the commercial break, we were talking about the money scripts that I witnessed while connecting with my grandfather over the weekend. And, you know, as he was telling me about some of the means that not only his father, but also like his uncle, and also even hearing from family friends during the Great Depression had to do to survive, it really informed a lot about why there are trust issues within the family, within the money scripts that each member of the family has around money. Now, it has changed from generation to generation, but when my grandfather was telling me how hard his dad worked to make sure that the family needs were supported during a time of great need, and when there also wasn't credit cards to be able to access things. I mean, I could get on a whole soapbox about how there are mirrors to economic patterns around a Great Depression or Great Recession starting to happen today that are comparable to the Great Depression back in the 30s. But the biggest difference is the fact that today people have credit cards to access their resources, even if they are overdrafted and they have quite literally no liquid cash to purchase things. Versus in the Great Depression, if you didn't have money, credit cards weren't invented till the 50s. So you were out of luck. And that resulted in stealing and theft and like fighting for money, right? Just very physically laborious jobs. And the way that impacted my grandfather, you know, he mentioned that he didn't grow up with much. And so, you know, that really reminds me of a money script that I see, you know, quite frequently among the clientele that I also work with. So, you know, I would love to introduce just 3 common money scripts that I see in my work as a financial therapist. And the first one is, money is meant to be enjoyed. Life is short. Yes. Money should be enjoyed, and life is short. You absolutely should enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? However, it's important to understand that the roots of a money script where life is short and money should be enjoyed and spent, the roots of that typically are in childhood deprivation. Perhaps money was unstable growing up. Perhaps you grew up watching someone who worked really hard for their money but didn't have the opportunity to enjoy the time versus the time exchange for financial resources. And it turned into, the ways that it affects us is it creates more impulsive spending, right? So say you're a child, you experience this, you didn't grow up with much, you finally get older and you're earning well, but you can't stop spending. Or you're drowning in debt because you don't have a good relationship with the accessibility that adulthood can provide while battling inner child narratives, money scripts, right? Those unconscious beliefs that drive our financial behaviors. You're having trouble really identifying why you decide when you're like, when I see it, I want it. I work hard, I deserve it. Yes, you absolutely do. However, this money script, it's affecting the low amounts that you're able to save and invest. And you also may be trapped consistently debating between your wants and your needs, and it's exhausting, right? So that's one money script, right? I know I should save, but I deserve this, right? But then I'm also in this cycle of debt, and I'm not able to invest in the things that I want in the future. This type of money script, from what I've seen, as well with clients is they have trouble having a relationship with their future self when it comes to money. There's things that you may want for financial stability, but you may be stuck living so much in the now that you may not actually be serving yourself in the future. So that's one money script, and one that I've seen, happen generationally, even in my family as well. Another money script, I should have this figured out by now. Man, being someone in their mid-20s, if I had $1 for every time that I heard that and then invested it, I would be a very, very wealthy woman. I should have this figured out by now. I mean, who hasn't said this about pretty much everything, but especially when it comes to our money? I mean, it really doesn't matter even if you are in your 20s or you're in retirement age. We're all feeling this to some extent when it comes to our financial reality. The roots of this money script, I should have this figured out by now, lie in comparison, right? Comparing ourselves culturally and socially to other people. Social media and how front-facing everything is doesn't help, and it's really ironic that we base a person off of who they are on a screen versus who they are in person. But again, I won't get on that soapbox. Another root around this is family expectations and pressure. All right. I have, some clients who are way more financially responsible for their families from a young age than they ever really wanted to be. But hey, you step into that family role for the sake of the family surviving. I have some clients who are the client that made it, the person that made it in their family. So the expectation is, oh, you made it with the money, so you are supposed to give it back to us. Well, that doesn't mean that we can't support our loved ones, but typically there are also very poor financial boundaries, both with oneself and your loved ones, when you have a money script of, I should have this figured out by now. You may also have a attachment to certainty, which, I mean, who doesn't as a human being, right? We want to be certain, but at the same time, comparison, external expectations, and a hunger for certainty without actually taking the steps to understand the roots of your financial behavior is going to lead to shame around asking for help, right? Even this script resonates with me the most because I'm a middle child, right? I've been very well taken care of by my family. However, being a middle child, I still have a little bit of fend for myself attitude. And I really like to learn, but I also like to be coachable and show that I can keep up. So an example is, when I was first worked in banking and I didn't know what a 401k was, I just shook my head like, yeah, I know what it is, but then I didn't invest in it because I didn't want to ask for help about how it all worked. And I regret that. And so if you're listening right now and there is potential for that at the place where you're working, hear it from me and ask for help. It will pay off in dividends quite literally in the long run. You also may be looking at money as, hey, here is what I'm trying to say here. You may have avoidance looking at money if you have this, I should have it figured out by now. And so after the commercial break, we'll get into the third money script that is very important for us to understand, along with wrap up a little bit around this script of I should have this figured out by now. We'll see you after the break. Finessers, how is society supposed to survive if the wealth gap keeps growing because financial support is built for people who already have money? A lot of financial services are charging $200, $300 an hour just to have a conversation. And for most people, that's just not realistic. I mean, 4 out of 10 Americans can't even afford a $400 emergency expense. Dimensional Wealth offers financial therapy and money coaching through a pay-per-minute model starting at just $1.50 per minute. You pay for the time you need, time and money, 2 of your most important assets back in your control. In just 8 sessions, our clients see lasting change, becoming more organized, more confident, and navigating their money decisions with more ease. So if you've been putting off getting financial support because of time or cost, now you have no excuse. Visit JaeVic.com to book your consultation, and listeners of the show get an exclusive discount on services using code DWF3. That's DWF3@JaeVic.com. You're not woke, you're broke. Now back to the show. Welcome back to the show, Finessers. We are talking about money scripts, the unconscious beliefs about money that affect your financial behaviors as an adult. Before the commercial break, we were talking about the second very common money script that I see in my work and that most of us probably have, which is, I should have this figured out by now. Shouldn't we all? Some of the effects that I wanted to speak on before we move on to the last common money script of the episode is that, this narrative, I should have this figured out by now. First of all, the word should consistently correlates with shame. And the difference between shame and guilt is shame is I am wrong versus guilt is I did something wrong. It's like a singular action versus when you feel shameful, when you keep shoulding yourself, you're basically saying that you should have better character. I should or shouldn't be this. And it can impair us from actually taking action and confronting the things that we may be avoiding because of all of our shoulds that are affecting our ability to interact with our money in a meaningful way. The effects of this money script include, anxiety when you're actually doing okay. I've seen clients, friends, including even myself, right? Especially when you're coming right out of school and you're trying to figure out how do I make sure I pay my bills and not go further into debt, is that you're hoarding every dollar out of fear, right? Because you got all these bills to pay, you're trying to create a savings, you're trying to also spend and enjoy your money, right? And so you may have a lot of anxiety when you're actually doing okay, and that can create something called money dysmorphia, a distorted outlook on the reality of your financial stability and footprint. The third money script that I see very commonly is that wanting money is selfish and talking about money is uncomfortable. Anything that we talk about or that we pursue that is new is going to be uncomfortable. However, where money gets especially uncomfortable to talk about is when there is stigma or that unspoken bias, right? Or maybe you even grew up in a household where, you had family saying, money changes people, don't brag, right? Oh, don't ask people what they make. I remember when I was little and I asked how much somebody made. I think I was like 7, and I was told, you don't ask that. Let's normalize opening up dialogue about what we are encountering financially. Now, I'm not saying that you gotta, post everything that you're into in regards to your money, but if you have someone that you care about, be it a friend, a family member, or even if it's just a coworker that you're trying to connect with and that you feel safe communicating with, which we can get into financial safety of communication in a different episode, the only way to heal from our pain is to stop invalidating it. Money management is pain management. I've said it on the show before, and you are not going to heal from your money scripts until you stop invalidating your experience or others' experiences when the topic of money comes up. So this narrative, right, wanting money is selfish. I see this very commonly among service-based professions, creatives and caregivers, where asking for more or being paid for what you're worth it's foreign to us, right? And it feels very inaccessible. And I say us because as a therapist, right, when I work in the clinical field, we are underpaid. We are severely underpaid for the cognitive load and the expertise and skills that it takes to truly help somebody heal through trauma and through a hard time. We're underpaid, right? And I do public speaking. I have clients that are therapists or in service-based positions to support them in advocating for their worth while also making room for their clients' needs. And that has to start with normalizing money conversations. Another theme that I see with this script is this may be a person who gives away money because wanting money is selfish, right? So it's also the person who is spending a lot on other people or giving to a lot of charities because that's how they associate their worth, right? This money script can be so damaging to our boundaries, right? To our ambition. I mean, I could go on and on. But as we start to close out the episode, I want to share with you guys that are listening, and finessers, thank you for tuning in, because this is the type of self-awareness that is truly going to help you be able to pursue financial risk and reward with more ease by having that emotional and behavioral understanding. 3 ways to identify your money scripts include, number 1, first, ask yourself, what is my first money memory? Okay, step 1 to identifying your money scripts is asking yourself, what is my first money memory? Number 2, what did my parents say or not say about money growing up? And number 3, what financial behavior do you continue to repeat that has not been serving you? Okay, those are the 3 ways to identify your money scripts. Okay, and see how I say scripts, because you may have resonated with just one that I mentioned or all 3. And there's even more money scripts out there that are not only standardized, but there's also ones that may be unique to you. Now, I can't advocate enough for the fact that working with a financial therapist, for example, at Dimensional Wealth, we provide financial therapy and money coaching. But the Financial Therapy Association has a plethora of phenomenal therapists all over the country that can help you identify your money scripts, because in order to solve a money problem, we have to understand the behavior on a deeper level. And that starts with your money scripts. I'm so appreciative of you guys for tuning into the show today. If you enjoyed today's content, please share this with someone you love. Talk about your money scripts. And if you have a money story around what your money scripts are, or if you would like to send in a question or your money story to explore more about the deeper meaning, or even just to relate to your finesser community, we would love to feature you on the show. We are going to continue to just dive into our own understanding around our financial behaviors so we can truly build wealth with wellness. Be sure to check out JaeVic.com for different products, resources, along with submitting your money story there. We also have different merch that is available for finessers who do submit a money story. I am so excited to continue this journey with you guys going into the summertime. I'm your host, JaeVic. Thank you for tuning in. And if you don't know, now you know. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Finance, Fitness, and Finesse. If this episode shifted how you think or feel about money, pass it along to someone you care about. Got a real-life money story, question, or discovery? Send it our way at financefitnessfinesse@gmail.com or connect with us on social media. And remember, you're not woke, you're broke.